I'm going to give Minth and I a chance to be in a proper relationship. I don't know if I want her or if I just feel guilty. The difference between you and her is that she needs me. This fucking guy.
Curiosities, and welcome back to our Lore Olympus Talkback, where we dissect character development, scenes, what might happen next in the fantastic webcomic by Rachel Smythe, Lore Olympus. If you haven't read it, none of the following clips are going to make any sense. They're full of spoilers, and you're just going to be very lost. So for your convenience, I've put a link down below in the description so you can reference anything going on in this series. I remember when I had such delusions that I was just gonna make like a little video for each character and call it good, it's gonna be great. Foolish Callaghan, foolish! I've actually renamed the original Minth video I did because I realized we're going to go back and talk about her, so it doesn't make any sense to call that video Minth, because while it revolves around her, we're going to be talking about her a lot. Because the story is far from over. Okay, so today we're going to focus on Hades, particularly his dumbass white knight impulse. But Kiri, he's trying to be a good guy and do the right thing. No. He's being an Oedipal level motherfucking coward in the name of self-sacrifice and compassion, and I'm done with his shit. Let's break this letter down, shall we? Which, I see you, Rach. I see you with your pristine Chekhov's gun hanging above the mantle, just ready to go off at any minute. The possibilities of who is going to find that letter in the future give me insane anxiety. How dare you be good at your job? How very dare you. First, if you find yourself ever saying, I don't know if I want to be with someone or if I just feel guilty, stop right there. If those are the two options, you already know the answer. You don't want to be with that person, you just feel guilty about not wanting to be with that person. However, before we rag on Blue Boy for the stupid, I do want to give him some credit. He does acknowledge that he's not in love with Persephone, and I applaud him for that. Stick with me here. Because he's right. You can't actually love someone you don't know. And it started to rain. It never rains in LA, you guys. I wanna go play in it. Sorry, getting distracted. The point is, you can't be in love with someone you don't know. And I don't mean his comment about knowing their favorite food or if they're a morning person or not. That's more like random facts about them. That's trivia questions. That's not knowing someone. Knowing a person is about understanding how they work as a person. It's knowing that I deal with an anxiety disorder, and it's knowing that when I have a conversation, I'm probably gonna go on 5 million different tangents or get distracted by a cute dog while it walks by, but I will reach the end and my point. Don't get me wrong, it's nice that my partner knows that one of my favorite flowers is lilies. It's nice that she knows how I like my eggs, but that's not really knowing me. That's knowing little random facts that she can use to show how she loves me. But he is on the right track, and I think that does merit some like, yay! Yay, you're not completely clueless. I keep getting distracted by the rain, I'm sorry. I also appreciate that Hades does acknowledge that her openness, her kindness, her compassion make him feel good, and that he's worried that he's not gonna feel that again. I just really wish he will, I hope and I pray he connects that to what we talked about last time. The relationship between Hades and Minth is toxic. It's emotionally manipulative and abusive. So being around Persephone is like this warm blanket in comparison. So I understand the hesitation of thinking, well, maybe this isn't what I think it is, because that's a very valid hesitation. So while I appreciate that he is wary of his feelings for her, maybe not being quite what he thinks they are, I really want him to connect it to why. Like, understand that why he feels that way around Persephone and why that wariness might actually be somewhat valid, rather than him just running away from his feelings. I have nowhere to talk. I did that before. Can you? Okay, hang on. Yes! 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 See how I was talking about tangents? Sorry. My point is, not only is there this huge contrast between Minth and Persephone, and he's getting confused about that, but he also hasn't really delved to that bottom layer, that real motivator that he's kind of afraid to really look at. And that is that Hades is absolutely freakishly terrified of being alone. Stay with me here. So the reasoning he gave to his brothers about wanting to propose to Minth, the way he interacts with Hera, it is no secret that Hades is lonely AF. And as much as I love puppies, the man has so many dogs. Like, seriously, dude, I love you, but you were like this close to being like the royal king of the underworld equivalent of a crazy cat lady. Now, Hades does have a lot of conflict towards how he feels about Persephone, and rightfully so, but we'll get a little bit more into that later. But on the surface, it's age, it's experience, it's her place in Olympian society, and who she is as a person, and her whole relationship with Demeter, and of course, let's not forget, most importantly, his complete lack of self-esteem and self-worth. Ding. So Hades is down here putting Persephone up on this pedestal, which has never gone well for anyone in the history of ever, deciding he's not even good enough to be her friend. He believes he'd pull her down, that he'd be a burden on her shoulders, and that their friendship would eventually be to her detriment. So here we have his complete lack of self-worth and bad opinion of himself, combining with his toxic white knighting and balling it up into this I'm going to save everyone by ghosting this girl for her own good. I also imagine there's this small part of him that subconsciously knows he could be happy with Persephone, but having something healthy and happy is a whole other scary thing with a much higher risk. The fact of the matter is, it's easier to stay with what's comfortable and familiar, even if it's miserable and unhealthy, because you already know you can get through it. The devil you know, as they say. It's honestly one of the many reasons that unhealthy and abusive relationships can go on for so long. Because change is terrifying and anxiety-inducing even when it's for good. That's why they talk about moving to a new place or getting a new job or even marriage are some of the most stressful life events you'll ever go through. They're happy, they're good, but they're still an upheaval of stability. Now look at things like divorce, separation from a partner, or death. That's even more stressful. So yes, while he possibly has this option to go start something new with this girl who does seem interested, even if he didn't have his reservations, he needs to talk to his therapist about his self-esteem and a bunch of other myriad of things that we've already covered, he's also struggling with the fact that change is anxiety-inducing like crazy. And on top of that, it would require breaking up with Minth, which is a separation from partner and is even more stressful and terrifying. And it does make our inner chemicals be like, oh fuck, what's going on? It's not good. Your synapses are all firing off and it's just a stress response. And it's interesting because there's this whole, I'm sorry, this is a tangent, but there's this whole study about the way that humanoids deal with stress. And the reason it's such a killer is it's essentially, like in the wild, you have an antelope that only experiences that level of stress when it's currently being actively chased by a lion. Now, imagine that same firing synapses and brain activity and heart palpitation going on constantly in your body, because that's essentially what stress does to us.
Does that make you feel stressed?
No wonder we all have
Does
heart
it?
problems.
No? Are you sure?
But the point here that I am struggling to say articulately is that if Hades wasn't so preoccupied with the terror of change, of pushing someone away, of separating, and more than anything, being alone, The healthy thing to do right now would be to be alone.
Are you sure?
Media is especially notorious when you've got like a love triangle that it's like, pick one of these options. No, Hades, right now, you gotta sort your shit. And you can't do that by hopping from one unhealthy relationship into another relationship. Because guess what? You're gonna bring all that really unhealthy shit that you were doing in Minth's relationship and you're gonna put that on Persephone. Why? Because that's what we do as humans. And I've seen it happen many times to friends who I love dearly but are terrified of being alone with themselves. Therapy is great if you find a therapist you can trust. It takes some time, but it is a must. Yeah. You should never be in a relationship simply because you don't want to be alone. It's not healthy. It's imposing your needs on another person, and worst of all, it's a recipe for codependence. You should be with someone because you want to be with them. Need is a dangerous word. You need oxygen, you need food and water, you need shelter, you need an ability to care for your health. That's need. Perpetuating an idea that a fully abled human needs you is dangerous. I'm an empath. I want to help every person I encounter, and you will meet someone on the street and your heart will just break for them because there is nothing you can do. Here are two very hard truths I've learned in my trips across universes. 1, you cannot save everyone. 2, you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. At the end of the day, we're only responsible for ourselves, and I don't mean that dismissively. I mean, we can have a support system, but they can't do things for you. Yes, there is a difference between having a support system and not. Trust me, I've been there. But a support system is not life support. Minth is prone to lashing out. Yes, she has a lot of problems, and she doesn't have a strong support system, but she's an able-bodied woman who is clever and smart, and she just needs to go see a dang therapist. She is capable of creating that support system. She's just chosen not to. In fact, from what we can see, other than Hades, she's got one frenemy, and that's it. Hades and Minth have sort of isolated each other together. Now, this is a common manipulation tactic in abusive relationships, and it is possible that Minth has done this as part of her I will keep control over him. But Hades has done a lot of that isolating himself as well. Don't get me wrong, he got the short straw of the deal. He's the king of the underworld, the gig nobody wanted. But he's taken that to be fully internalized with like this thought of like, well, I don't deserve better, so this is my life. God, it's exhausting just talking about this mentality. Hades, how do you not need a nap like every hour? Low self-esteem, driven to self-sacrifice under the guise of helping someone else while ignoring the root issue of not wanting to be alone. And even if this letter wasn't this big foreshadowing of some bitch gonna find this later, this whole plan would blow up. Because here's the thing, Hades. Minth doesn't want you to pretend to want to be with her. She wants to be wanted. And if you think that pretending out of guilt is even remotely close to that in the way he's going about it, it's actually very selfish. Because really, again, he doesn't want to be alone. That's the real reason. And he feels guilty. And he doesn't want her to get upset because he's not comfortable with her crying. So he's giving her what he thinks she wants. And it's going to destroy her more. If you were in this situation, please don't ever do this. It makes that person feel like a charity case. It makes them feel worthless and awful, and holy crap, yes, it's gonna hurt when you break up with them, but it's gonna be a lot better than lying to them because you didn't want to hurt their feelings. It's so patronizing and upsetting, and this is not going to end well, Hades, and your misconceptions about Persephone are only going to further be agitated by you keeping your distance. He also seems to be about to exact his revenge on someone who wronged Persephone, likely without checking in with her about how she'd prefer to do it or if she'd like to be included. And that's also a problem. He's still charging forward with his own idea of how he thinks things should be without checking with the other people who might be involved. He didn't talk with Minth. He just acted like everything was okay. He didn't talk with Persephone. He wrote a letter he didn't intend to send and vowed to keep his distance. which is ridiculous because he is now her boss. I see this complete lack of communication, and I know it happens in the real world, and it always makes me think of those dudes who are like, oh, my ex, she was just so crazy. Was she though? Was she actually crazy, or did you maybe give her a false idea of where you were in the relationship when you had your check-ins? Did you maybe like lie about how you felt, how you were all in, and then when this inevitably blew up in your face, because guess what? Lying to your partner never goes well, and she had a proportional response to that. I'm bringing this up now because I have a sneaking suspicion eventually this will blow up in Hades' face, and Mint is going to have a proportional response to it, and I don't want to see people going, well, she's acting crazy. No, because while Mint has problems, and we're going to talk more and more about that as we continue, god damn it, Hades. It might be time to up your therapy appointments, I'm just saying. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave your theories about who's gonna find that letter or how Hades will be exacting his revenge in the comments below. If you want me to cover a scene or character specifically, don't be afraid to ask, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and to smash that bell notification button like you want to smash a pie into Hades' oblivious face. Good fortune, joy hunters, and until next time, stay curious.